The jungle was burning. Red flames climbed the trees like hungry beasts. Smoke filled the sky, turning day into dark night. Blaster shots echoed through the valley. The war between humans and aliens had reached its most brutal hour. Captain Raylan Ward ran through the ashes, breathing hard inside his cracked helmet. His armor was half broken, his oxygen low. Around him, fallen soldiers, both human and alien, lay scattered in silence. The air smelled of metal, blood, and smoke. He had one order: no survivors. Destroy everything. But then, he heard something strange, a soft cry. Not a soldier. Not a scream. A small sound, like a child calling for help. Raylan stopped. His visor flickered with static. Must be interference, he told himself. But then he heard it again, a faint voice crying through the fire. He followed the sound. Step by step, he moved past broken alien machines, past a destroyed ship glowing blue under the flames. Inside the wreck, he saw movement, a small figure hiding behind a metal wall. When he got closer, his heart froze. It was a child, not human but small and trembling. Skin pale like silver, eyes bright as stars, she was covered in dust and blood, holding a small crystal in her hands. She looked up at him with fear and innocence mixed together. Raylan's gun trembled in his hand. Saving an alien was forbidden. The law was clear. Any human who helped the enemy would be executed. But then he remembered something. A flash in his mind, his daughter Ellie running toward him before the war, smiling. That same small voice calling Daddy before the explosion took her away forever. He looked at the alien child again. She was crying the same way Ellie had, lost, alone, afraid. Damn it, he whispered. He threw his rifle aside and knelt. Hey, it's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you. The child tilted her head. Her voice came not from her mouth but inside his mind. Help, please, Raylan froze. Telepathic? He whispered. The child pointed to her chest and a wound glowing faintly blue. He tore a patch from his suit and pressed it against her, stopping the bleeding as best he could. The ground shook. Enemy drones were approaching. His radio crackled. Captain Ward, report. We detect an unknown life form near your position. Confirm elimination. He looked at the small creature in his arms. She clung to his armor, eyes wide. He shut off his comms. I'm sorry, Command, he muttered. Not this one. Raylan lifted her gently and covered her with his cloak. The heat outside was unbearable. Flames surrounded the ship and explosions drew closer. He ran through the firestorm, holding the child tight against his chest. Every step was a battle. Falling trees, burning debris, drones scanning from above. He ran through mud and fire, his heart racing. The child's faint heartbeat echoed through his armor, then borne a voice in his helmet. Cold and deep. Not human. Human. You have something that belongs to me. Raylan stopped. Who's speaking? He shouted. The voice continued, calm and powerful. Return the child. She is mine. The ground trembled. Somewhere far above the clouds, a shadow moved. A massive alien ship, invisible but felt in the air. He knew then, this was no ordinary child. The scanners in his armor flashed red. Target identified. Royal genetic signature, Class Alpha, status, enemy royalty. His blood turned cold. He looked at the girl. She was barely breathing, glowing faintly. A royal child, the Queen's daughter. If the humans found out, they would kill her instantly. If the aliens found out, they would come for him. He was trapped between two enemies, both stronger than him. Still, he tightened his grip. I don't care who you are, he whispered to her. You're just a kid. He sprinted toward the storm clouds, deeper into the jungle, away from the battlefield. Lightning split the sky. The rain mixed with ash and fire, washing blood from his armor. The child opened her eyes and looked up at him. Her lips didn't move, but her voice echoed softly inside his head. Thank you. Raylan. He froze for a moment. She knew his name. Before he could speak, his helmet displayed a warning. Unauthorized transmission detected. Tracking signal locked. He looked at the clouds. Drones were coming again, faster this time. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. There was no turning back now. He had broken the law of war. He had chosen to save the enemy. Raylan ran through the burning jungle, lightning flashing behind him, carrying the alien child, the one who could change everything. The last thing he heard was that same cold, echoing voice in the comms. You cannot hide from the Queen, human. She will find you. And when she does, she will make you hers forever. The night was black and endless. Rain fell like silver needles through the clouds, hissing as it touched the burning ground. Captain Raylan Ward ran through the ruins holding the alien child close to his chest. Her small body felt weightless, yet every step felt heavier, as if the whole galaxy was pressing down on him. The scanners in his armor blinked red. Warning, multiple drones inbound. Distance, 2 kilometers, he knew he couldn't fight them. His ammo was gone. His oxygen level was dropping. He needed a place to hide before sunrise, or they'd both be dead. Ahead, through the mist, he saw a dark structure half buried in the dirt. An old research outpost, abandoned since the First War. The door was rusted, the walls cracked, but it was shelter. He kicked the door open and stepped inside. Dust rose around him like ghosts. Broken screens flickered weak light across the room. He laid the child gently on an old table and removed his helmet. His face was pale, his eyes tired but sharp. The child's wounds had stopped bleeding. She slept quietly now, glowing faintly blue. Raylan stared at her for a long time. "Who are you, really?" he whispered. He noticed a small symbol on her wrist, a glowing circle with 3 lines like a crown. When he touched it, his vision flashed. An image filled his mind. A tall woman with silver skin and eyes like fire, screaming in rage. The Queen. Raylan fell back, gasping. "Royal blood," he muttered. "You're her daughter." He turned away, pacing the room. "Damn it, what have I done?" Saving her wasn't just a crime, it was suicide. Suddenly, his radio crackled to life. "Captain Ward, this is command. We've tracked your signal. You've gone dark for 3 hours. Report now." He froze. His hand hovered over the mic. He couldn't tell them the truth. Not about her. Not about what she was. "Nothing to report," he said quickly. "Just storm interference. Continuing recon." The voice replied coldly. "Understood. Keep your comms open, Captain. Don't make us come looking." The radio clicked off. Raylan sighed and sat beside the child. The storm outside roared like a wild beast. Every few seconds, thunder flashed through the cracks in the roof. He felt trapped, between the army that once trusted him and the alien empire hunting him. Then the child stirred. Her eyes opened, bright blue glowing softly. She looked at him with quiet curiosity. "You're awake," Raylan said softly. "You should rest." Her voice came inside his head again, calm but strange. "You saved me." "Why?" He hesitated. "Because you were just a kid, and because I couldn't lose another one." The child tilted her head, studying him. "You lost someone?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah, my daughter. Long time ago." The child reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. For a second, Raylan felt peace, like calm water washing over his mind. Then her eyes flashed with strange light. Suddenly, images flooded his thoughts. Stars, cities floating in the sky, and a tall figure of light calling out her name. Lyra. Raylan blinked hard. "Lyra, that's your name, isn't it?" The child nodded slowly. Before he could say more, alarms screamed on his wrist display. "Movement detected. Hostile drones, 10. Approaching fast." Raylan's heart kicked. He grabbed his weapon and peeked outside. Small red lights were weaving through the rain. Scanners, hunting. He had minutes, maybe less. He turned back to the child. "You can't make a sound, understand?" Lyra nodded, pressing her tiny hand to her lips. He moved silently across the outpost, sealing doors, powering down energy cores. But it was useless, and the drones were already circling. Then a sudden voice filled the room. Not from the radio, from everywhere. "Captain Ward, you cannot hide from the stars." It was the Queen again. Her tone was calm, almost gentle. "You have my daughter. Return her and I will forgive your people. Refuse and I will burn your world." Raylan's jaw clenched. He looked at Lyra, small, scared, clutching his coat. He took a deep breath. "You'll have to burn it then." He turned off his comms and lifted his rifle. Drones burst through the walls, beams of light cutting the air. Raylan fired, hitting 2, then rolled behind cover. Sparks flew as bullets tore through the room. Lyra screamed, her eyes glowing bright, and suddenly the air shook. A shockwave of blue light exploded outward, shattering every drone in a flash. Silence followed. Smoke drifted through the air. Raylan stood frozen. The walls were cracked, his ears ringing. Lyra looked at him, trembling, afraid of what she had done. He slowly walked to her and knelt. "Hey, it's okay," but his voice shook. He'd just seen power beyond human understanding. He looked into her glowing eyes and realized this child wasn't a weapon or a princess. She was something much greater. Something the galaxy feared, he whispered. What are you, really? Lyra looked up, her eyes wet with tears. I'm the reason the Queen will never stop chasing you. The storm passed, leaving behind cold silence. Dawn light crept through the broken roof of the old outpost, turning dust into golden mist. Captain Raylan Ward sat by the fire, his armor off, his mind heavy. The alien child, Lyra, slept beside him, wrapped in his torn jacket. Her faint blue glow flickered like a heartbeat. For the first time in years, Raylan didn't feel like a soldier. He felt human. But peace never lasted long in war. His wrist display blinked. Power supply, 9%. Rations, low. Oxygen filters, damaged. He had maybe 2 days before his gear failed. And the drones, they would return soon. He looked at Lyra. She was breathing softly, peaceful now. He couldn't understand how something so small could carry such danger. The memory of last night burned in his mind, that flash of blue light destroying every drone in seconds. She didn't even seem to know how she did it. Raylan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small photo, a little girl smiling beside him, holding a toy ship. His daughter, Ellie, killed when her transport ship was caught in the first alien strike. He looked between the photo and Lyra, the same eyes, the same innocence. But this time, he had a chance to save her, maybe to save himself. Lyra's eyes fluttered open. You didn't sleep, she said softly, her telepathic voice echoing in his head. He smiled a little. Couldn't. Old habit. She sat up looking curious. Humans? Dream? Yeah, Raylan said. Sometimes good dreams, sometimes bad ones. Lyra tilted her head. I saw your dream, she said. You lost someone. A child. Raylan froze. His heart sank. You were inside my head? She nodded slowly. I didn't mean to. It just happens. When I sleep near someone I trust. Her words cut deeper than he expected. He looked at her, small, fragile, and yet powerful enough to crush metal with her mind. He whispered, You trust me? She smiled faintly. You didn't leave me. That's enough. He felt something shift inside him, a warmth he hadn't felt in years, but it was quickly replaced by guilt. Saving her meant betraying his entire species. Before he could respond, the ground beneath them rumbled. A low hum filled the air. He jumped to his feet, weapon ready. Stay behind me, he said. A shadow passed over the cracked window. Not a drone this time. A human dropship. It flew past without stopping, heading west. Raylan let out a slow breath. Search parties, he muttered. They're spreading out. He turned to Lyra. We have to move before they circle back. But Lyra was staring at something, the broken control panel of the old outpost. Blue lights flickered under her touch. Symbols began to appear on the dusty screens, written in an alien language. Raylan stepped closer. What are you doing? Her eyes glowed brighter. It's talking to me, she whispered. The console came alive, projecting a holographic map. A star system filled with glowing paths. At the center was a huge crimson sphere. Raylan frowned. What is that? Lyra looked sad. Home. He stared at her. Your homeworld? She nodded. Mother built this outpost long ago, before the war. It was meant for peace talks. Humans came once, but they brought soldiers instead of diplomats. Raylan felt a chill. You mean, your people tried to make peace? Lyra looked at him with big, clear eyes. She wanted to stop the fighting, but then humans attacked her envoy. She called it betrayal. That's when the war began. Raylan stepped back, shaking his head. Everything he'd been told, the propaganda, the training, all lies. He whispered, We started it. Lyra looked down. She hates your kind now, but she doesn't know you. He kneeled beside her, his voice quiet. If what you say is true, maybe it's not too late. Lyra tilted her head. She will never forgive. Not until she finds me. The hologram flickered again, now showing a red signal blinking near their position. Raylan's eyes widened. What's that? Lyra's face went pale. She found us. Raylan grabbed his gear. We're leaving now. He packed fast, lifting Lyra into his arms. The ground started to shake again, distant booms echoing across the wasteland. The Queen's ships were coming. As they ran into the open fields, lightning split the sky. In the distance, he saw human fighters battling alien interceptors, the war raging again because of them. Lyra whispered softly, "She can feel my heartbeat across the stars." Raylan ran faster, his heart pounding. Then we'll have to keep it quiet. Behind them, the old outpost exploded, fire lighting up the morning sky. The shockwave knocked Raylan down. He rolled, shielding Lyra as debris rained around them. When the smoke cleared, Lyra looked at him with tears in her glowing eyes. She won't stop, Raylan. My mother never stops. He met her gaze and said firmly, Then neither will I. The wind howled around them as they disappeared into the storm, chased by two worlds that wanted them dead, and bound by a secret that could end both. The night was cold and restless. The stars above the wasteland flickered like dying embers. Captain Raylan Ward sat beside the small campfire, cleaning his broken rifle. The flames painted his face in gold and shadow. Across from him, Lyra slept, quietly under his old military jacket, her soft blue glow dancing with the firelight. They had been running for days, from humans, from aliens, from everyone. Each night the sky lit up with distant explosions. The war hadn't stopped. It was getting worse. Raylan checked his wrist display. Power levels low. Ammo nearly gone. Food for maybe one more day. He sighed, staring into the fire. How long can we keep this up? The wind shifted. He thought he heard movement. Faint footsteps on gravel. In a second, his weapon was up. Who's there? A voice replied from the shadows. Easy, Raylan. It's me. He froze. He knew that voice. Out of the dark stepped Lieutenant Mara Hale, his former squadmate, the one person he had once trusted with his life. Her armor was clean, freshly issued, her rifle marked with command insignia. Mara, he said slowly, you shouldn't be here. She smiled faintly. Neither should you. Raylan kept the rifle aimed at her. How did you find us? Does it matter? She said softly. I came alone. But Raylan's instincts screamed no. No one came alone in a war like this. He scanned her armor. Faint signal blink, barely visible. A hidden tracker. He clenched his jaw. You're wired. Mara didn't move. I had to, Raylan. They're watching everything. You brought them here? His voice cracked with disbelief. After everything? Her eyes lowered. You think you can hide forever? You took their enemy's child. Command calls it treason. The aliens call it kidnapping. There's no side left for you. He lowered his gun just a little. You could have warned me. I'm warning you now, she said. Give up the girl before it's too late. Raylan's heart pounded. She's not a target, Mara. She's a kid. Mara stepped closer, lowering her rifle. She's not just a kid. You know what she is. You saw what she did. That power inside her. It's not natural. It's dangerous. She could wipe out both sides if she loses control. Raylan shook his head. You sound like command. You're not even listening. Mara's eyes filled with pain. You think I want to do this? They'll execute you, Raylan, but if you surrender peacefully, they might spare you. I can make them listen. He laughed bitterly. You always believed in orders, never in people. For a moment, silence. Only the wind and the crackling fire. Then Lyra stirred, sitting up slowly. Her glowing eyes blinked between them. Raylan, what's wrong? He smiled weakly. Nothing, kid. Go back to sleep. But Lyra looked past him, at Mara. Her voice echoed softly in their minds. She's lying. Mara flinched as if the voice cut through her. What? How? Lyra stood, her glow intensifying. You brought them here. Mara's radio buzzed faintly. A voice crackled. Visual confirmed. Target located. Awaiting clearance. Raylan's stomach dropped. He looked at Mara and saw the regret in her eyes. Mara, he whispered. You sold us out. Her voice broke. I didn't have a choice. Raylan's anger rose like fire. You always have a choice. In the distance, engines roared. Spotlights pierced the clouds, dropships approaching fast. The night exploded with sound. Lyra screamed. Her eyes turned white-blue, and a wave of energy burst from her. The air trembled. The ground cracked. The incoming dropships spiraled out of control, crashing in flames across the horizon. Raylan shielded his face. The wind felt alive like lightning crawling over his skin. When the storm faded, everything was silent again. The fire was gone. The night glowed faintly blue. Mara lay on the ground, her weapon blown away, staring in shock at the child. Lyra trembled. I didn't mean to. I just wanted them to stop. Raylan knelt beside her. It's okay. It's over. But Mara's voice cut through the quiet. No, Raylan, it's not over. She stood slowly, clutching her side. You've doomed us all. You think Command will forgive this? They'll send everything they have. He looked at her sadly. Then let them come. Mara stared at him, tears mixing with ash on her face. You used to fight for your own kind. I still do, he said. I'm fighting for the part of us that remembers mercy. She took a step back, shaking her head. You're lost. Raylan turned away, lifting Lyra into his arms. No. I just finally found something worth losing everything for. Mara watched them disappear into the storm. She pressed her radio, her hand trembling. Command, this is Hale. Target escaped, no visual. She paused, staring at the burning sky, voice breaking. And if you're listening, stop this war. He's not the enemy anymore. As her words faded, the wind howled through the wasteland. Above, hidden in the clouds, a single ship shimmered. The Queen's flagship, silently watching. Her voice echoed softly through the comms, filled with dangerous calm. He has chosen the child over his own kind. Bring them both to me. The hunt was far from over. The next dawn would not bring peace, and only war. The desert stretched forever, empty, silent, golden under a dying sun. Captain Raylan Ward walked through the heat, carrying Lyra in his arms. Her glow was fading, her energy weak after days of running. Every breath he took burned like fire. His armor was cracked, his water gone. Yet he kept walking. He couldn't stop now. The Queen's ships hunted them day and night. Humans hunted him too, a traitor to his kind. There was no safe place left in the galaxy. Behind them, the horizon shimmered. Something was moving fast, a ship. Raylan set Lyra down behind a sand dune and pulled out his scanner. Only one signal. Not an alien. Human. A sharp pain shot through his chest. He knew that frequency. It was Lieutenant Mara Hale, his old comrade. His friend. The one person he thought might understand. Raylan clenched his jaw. Stay hidden, he told Lyra quietly. No matter what you hear. She nodded, fear glowing in her blue eyes. Will she help us? He didn't answer. Moments later, the dropship landed in a cloud of dust. Mara stepped out wearing black armor marked with the silver crest of command. Her face was cold, eyes sharp like blades. The wind blew her hair across her helmet visor as she approached. Raylan, she said, you're a hard man to find. He raised his weapon, but his voice trembled. You shouldn't have come. She smiled faintly. You think I had a choice? The entire fleet is looking for you. You took an alien royal child, Raylan. The Queen's daughter, I saved her, he said. She's just a kid. Mara's smile faded. She's not a kid. She's a living weapon. She can destroy a planet. You saw what she did to those drones. Raylan's finger tightened on the trigger. She was scared. She didn't mean to. Mara took a slow step forward. Listen to me. Command made a deal. The Queen contacted us directly. She offered a truce as one we can't refuse. Raylan frowned. A truce? Mara nodded. She'll end the war if we return the child. And the man who took her. Raylan's chest went cold. So that's the plan. Trade me for peace. She promised mercy, Mara said softly. And she promised to spare Earth. That's more than we've ever had. He laughed bitterly. You really believe her? Mara's voice lowered. I want to, Raylan. But if I don't bring you in, they'll send someone worse. He shook his head. If you take her back, she'll die. Then maybe that's the price for peace. Something broke in Raylan's eyes. He lowered his weapon slightly. After everything we fought for, you'd hand a child to her death? Mara hesitated. You're my friend, Raylan. But I follow orders. Before she could react, Lyra stepped out from behind the dune. Her small form glowed softly in the setting sun. The wind caught her silver hair as she looked at Mara with calm, sad eyes. Don't hurt him, she said quietly, her voice echoing in their minds. Mara froze. She can speak? Lyra walked closer, unafraid. You don't have to fight anymore. My mother doesn't want peace. She wants control. Mara raised her weapon, but her hands trembled. You don't know what she's capable of. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. Yes, I do. I am her creation. The ground beneath them began to hum. The air shimmered with energy. Raylan shouted, Lyra, stop. You'll burn yourself out. But Lyra didn't stop. Her eyes turned white with light. And then the sky opened. A holographic form appeared above them. Tall, radiant, terrifying. The Queen. Her voice filled the air like thunder. Enough, my child. Mara fell to her knees, eyes wide. The Queen's image turned to Raylan, her gaze soft but powerful. You have my gratitude, human. You kept her alive. Now give her back to me. Raylan stepped forward, sweat running down his face. If I do, what happens to her? The Queen's expression turned cold. She defied me. She must be purified, reborn. Raylan clenched his fists. That means killed. The Queen's eyes softened slightly. You care for her. I can see it in your heart. You remind me of what we lost long ago. She took a step closer, her light washing over him. Come with us, Raylan. You will not die. You will live among the stars as my guardian. Serve me, and you will be immortal. Mara stared, speechless. Raylan stood still, heart racing. The Queen's voice was hypnotic, her presence overwhelming. Beauty and power mixed with sorrow. For a moment he felt it. The pull of her voice, the promise of peace. Then Lyra grabbed his hand, her small fingers glowing against his skin. Don't leave me, she whispered. That single touch broke the spell. Raylan looked up at the Queen. You'll have to kill me first. The Queen's face darkened. Her voice echoed like thunder. Then you will die with her. The hologram vanished in a storm of light. The desert shook as alien ships appeared above the clouds, descending fast. Raylan turned to Mara. If you still care about me, help us escape. For a long second, she said nothing. Then silently, she dropped her weapon and opened the ship's hatch. Get in, she said, before I change my mind. As the engines roared and the sky filled with fire, Raylan looked down at Lyra, the child who had become his heart, and whispered, No one's taking you. Not her, not anyone. The Queen's army was coming, and this time the fight would decide the fate of worlds. The desert sky burned red. Flames rose like walls of light as human and alien ships clashed above the dunes. The sound of thunder and laser fire echoed for miles. It was no longer just a war between species. It was a war for one child. Inside a stolen dropship, Captain Raylan Ward gripped the controls with bleeding hands. Beside him, Lyra sat silent, her eyes glowing softly, watching the chaos outside. Behind them, Mara reloaded her weapon, jaw tight, guilt heavy in her eyes. 2 squadrons closing in, Mara said, looking at the radar. Alien fighters, fast ones. Raylan's voice was calm but fierce. Then let's make them slower. He slammed the thrusters forward. The ship roared, weaving through smoke and wreckage. Missiles exploded behind them, shaking the cockpit. Raylan pulled hard, dodging beams of light that cut the sky apart. Lyra's small hands gripped her seat. They won't stop, Raylan. My mother can feel me. I know, he said, his eyes burning with determination. That's why we keep moving. Outside, the alien fleet descended like a storm, massive ships shaped like silver wings blotting out the sun. Human destroyers fired back, lightning tearing across the sky. Both sides were losing ships fast, and neither knew the real reason they were fighting. Just one child hidden in a small transport ship below. Mara looked at Raylan. They're killing each other for her. Maybe the Queen's right. Maybe we can't win. Raylan didn't answer. He only stared ahead through smoke and chaos. Winning isn't the point. Saving her is. Then a voice filled the cockpit, smooth, cold, echoing through every system. Raylan Ward. Still running? The Queen. Her voice came through the radio, through the screens, through their very minds. You are brave, but foolish.
You think you can hide my child from me?
Raylan growled. She's not yours anymore. The Queen's tone softened, almost sad. You don't understand. Without me, she will die. She carries a power meant only for my bloodline. Without the Crown's control, it will consume her. Lyra's head dropped. She whispered, She's telling the truth. I can feel it. My heart hurts. Raylan turned sharply to her. Don't listen to her. Lyra looked up with tears in her glowing eyes. What if I'm the reason everyone's dying? Maybe I should go. Raylan grabbed her shoulders. No, you're the reason I'm still fighting. Before she could reply, alarms screamed. A missile hit the rear engine. Fire burst through the back. The ship spun wildly, smoke filling the cabin. Brace! Raylan shouted. The ship crashed into the desert with a thunderous roar, sliding across the sand, tearing through rock. Metal screeched, glass shattered. When it finally stopped, silence filled the air, broken only by the hiss of burning fuel. Raylan coughed, blood on his lips. Everyone okay? Mara groaned. Barely. Lyra unbuckled her straps, trembling. They're here, she whispered. Raylan looked up and then froze. Out of the dust, dozens of alien soldiers appeared, armor glowing blue under the fading light. Above them floated a massive ship, its shadow swallowing the battlefield. From its center descended a figure of light and power, the Queen herself. Her voice echoed through the air, calm but commanding. Enough death, enough lies. Her feet touched the ground softly. The air around her shimmered with energy. Even the sand seemed to bow. Raylan stood in front of Lyra, his rifle raised though his hands shook. Stay back, he said. You'll have to go through me. The Queen smiled faintly. I would rather not. You've done what even my best soldiers could not. You protected her. Raylan's voice cracked with rage. You call that protection? You turned her into a weapon. She was born to save our kind, the Queen said quietly. But your world corrupted her light. Lyra stepped forward, tears running down her silver cheeks. Mother, stop. I don't want this. I don't want to hurt anyone. The Queen's eyes softened for a moment, then hardened again. You are too young to decide. Raylan moved between them. Then maybe it's time someone taught you what choice means. The Queen's expression darkened. The air rippled. Energy flashed across the ground. Enough, human. You think love can defy a queen? Raylan raised his weapon. I don't think. I know. The Queen lifted her hand. A wave of power struck him, sending him flying across the sand. His armor cracked, pain shooting through every nerve. Still, he crawled back up, blood dripping down his face. He looked at Lyra, struggling to stand. Run! But Lyra didn't run. Her eyes blazed white. She screamed and the world trembled. Blue energy exploded from her, pure, endless light. The soldiers were thrown back like leaves in a storm. The Queen raised her arm, blocking the blast, but even she staggered under the force. Raylan shielded his eyes, shouting, Lyra, stop! You'll die! Lyra's voice echoed through the storm. I won't let anyone die for me again. The explosion split the sky, lighting the desert like a second sun. Every ship above trembled. The battlefield froze in awe, one child holding back the power of two armies. When the light faded, Lyra collapsed, unconscious. The Queen knelt beside her, silent. Raylan dragged himself forward, pain in every breath. He looked at the Queen, eyes full of fire. Now you see it, he said. She's not a weapon. She's life. The Queen stared at him, and for the first time her eyes showed tears. Above them, the war quieted. The sky was still, the wind soft again. The Queen whispered, You would die for her, wouldn't you? Raylan's voice was barely a whisper. I already did. The desert was silent. The sky, once burning with war, now lay calm and bruised with fading smoke. Broken ships glimmered under the soft light of two moons. Wind swept through the battlefield, carrying the smell of dust, fire, and peace. Captain Raylan Ward knelt in the sand beside Lyra, who lay unconscious, her small hand cold in his. Her glow, once bright and wild, now flickered faintly like a candle fighting to stay alive. His armor was shattered. His breathing was weak. Every movement felt like lifting a mountain, but he didn't care. He brushed a strand of silver hair from her face and whispered, "You did it, kid. You stopped the war." From behind the smoke, a tall shadow emerged. The alien queen stepped forward, no longer surrounded by soldiers, no longer a figure of wrath. Her face was calm, her eyes heavy with something Raylan never thought he'd see in her: sorrow. She walked slowly, her long robe gliding over the sand. When she reached them, she stopped, staring down at her daughter. For a moment, the mighty queen looked just like any mother, broken, afraid to touch her own child. "She's alive," Raylan said softly. His voice cracked. "She just needs rest." The queen looked at him, truly looked at him, and for the first time her eyes were not cold. "You protected her." "Even against me," Raylan nodded weakly. "Someone had to." The queen knelt beside Lyra, her fingers trembling as she touched the child's forehead. A soft light flowed from her hand, wrapping Lyra in warmth. Slowly the girl's breathing steadied. Her glow returned, dim but steady like dawn after a storm. "She will live," the queen whispered, "but her power is unstable. Without balance, it will consume her." Raylan leaned closer. "Then teach her control. Don't cage her." The queen looked at him in silence. Around them, the battlefield shimmered with falling dust. Tiny sparks of light from dying ships drifting like snow. "You're dying," she said quietly. Raylan smiled faintly. "Yeah, I figured." He looked at Lyra one last time. "Tell her. She's not a weapon. She's a miracle." The queen's voice broke, something rare and human in it. "You gave everything for a child that wasn't yours." "Why?" Raylan looked at her, his eyes tired but bright. "Because she needed someone to believe in her. And because I failed once before, I wasn't going to fail again." For a long moment, neither spoke. The wind whispered through the ruins. Somewhere far above, the last of the alien fleet pulled back, retreating into the clouds. The queen stood tall again, her silver armor shining faintly under the moons. She raised her hand. Light surrounded Raylan, lifting him slightly from the sand. He felt warmth spread through his chest, easing his pain. "You saved her," she said softly. "For that I owe you a life, even if it must be mine." Raylan shook his head weakly. "Don't owe me anything, just take care of her." The queen hesitated, then placed her glowing hand on his chest. A pulse of energy flowed into him, healing his wounds just enough to breathe. He opened his eyes, gasping softly. "You will live," the queen said, "but you can never return to your world. Humans will call you traitor. My kind will call you thief." Raylan smiled tiredly. "Then I'll be neither. I'll just be her guardian." The queen's expression softened, something almost like love in her gaze. "Then stay. A world beyond these sands awaits, where the stars touch the sea. She will need you there." Lyra stirred, her eyes opening. When she saw Raylan, she smiled weakly. "You stayed—" He brushed her hair back. "Always." The queen turned to the horizon. Her army was gone. The war was over. She had seen something in the human that her kind had forgotten. Compassion stronger than blood, stronger than fear. "You have changed me, Raylan Ward," she said quietly. "Perhaps that is what your kind was meant to do." He looked up at her, half smiling. "Change you? Didn't think I was that special." Her eyes glowed softly. "To me, you are." She looked at Lyra one last time, then walked away, her figure fading into the light until only dust and quiet remained. Raylan lifted Lyra into his arms. The sun was rising now, spilling gold over the wrecked land. "A new dawn," he whispered. "No more running, kid. We're home." As they walked toward the horizon, the voice of the queen echoed faintly in the wind. He risked everything for an alien child, and became eternal in her mother's eyes. And somewhere between stars and silence, the legend of Captain Raylan Ward, the human who defied two worlds for love, was born. He was no longer just a soldier. He was the guardian of the stars, forever bound to both heart and galaxy,